Hello everyone, welcome back to another edition of VoxRes. This episode was supposed to be about preparing the engine for the Astra, but it's a nice sunny day. I came out of work, decided to put the roof down, and this is what happened. So as you can see, roof is stuck halfway up or halfway down, whichever way you want to look at it. It won't go either way. Just had to drive home with a horrible bonging noise in my ears all the way, about 25 miles. With the roof like that, dare go over 50 miles an hour, so it's taking me longer to get home. The problem is this little flap under here. So you can see this flap here. It's gone a bit floppy flap. And apparently, I've read about this before and I've just read up on it again. This little motor up under here has got a nylon gear in it, and the nylon gears shear off. You can get replacement nylon gears, and you can also get replacement brass ones, I believe. So my main concern for today is how I'm going to get this roof up. I don't want to get it down, because once it's down and locked I might not ever be able to get it up again. So I'd rather get it up. So I'm guessing, I can't see any external micro switches or anything around here. There's a little wiring clip there, a couple of Torx bolts there, and another one somewhere, saw it there. Might have to come off, and there's two nuts there. So what I'm hoping is I can get this motor off and see what's inside, see if there's any little micro switches inside this gearbox or something, and see if we can frig it into believing that flap's closed. And if it does, or if I can, hopefully we can get the roof up. Otherwise I'm not too sure what I'm going to do. I've just seen online, had a quick look online, and people have been quoted thousands of pounds to get the dealers to sort it out. Well, I'm not paying that out on a cheap old car like this. So it's going to have to be a DIY repair of some sort. I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it. I'm going to whip the motor off now and I'll get back to you shortly. Right, so I've been working on this about an hour or so now. Got the motor out, as you can see. Got the flap off of the motor, which is there. And as I suspected, if you look inside here, this gear, get him out, is completely trashed. It's completely burred up. That's what it looks like on that side, and I think that's what it's supposed to look like on that side. So that is completely trashed. I've had a good go at trying to fob the sensor, or have a look at doing it, tricking the sensor into believing that it's shut. I took the little screws out here, and there's some electronic circuitry in there, and I believe it's probably an overcurrent sensor or something, so that when the motor stops, it picks up the current, the extra current the motor's drawing, and that sends a signal to the control unit, and shuts the power off to it and says it's closed. And obviously, because the motor's just spinning and spinning, because of this trash gear, it's driven by that little worm gear inside there, so that's just turning and turning and turning and turning. After a certain time it times out and says no, it's not open, it's not closed or open. So I'm hoping that's what it is. I've had my Opcom system on. I'll show you that at some point. I don't think we've looked at that yet. So diagnosis software, it's only a cheap eBay thing, but it comes in quite handy. I can access the roof control module, and that tells me that when I've got this thing unplugged here, that I've got an open circuit sensor and an open circuit motor, and when I plug it in, it just says there's a fault in the system. So it's not coming up with the open circuit fault if I clear all the codes down for the sensor. So I think the sensor's good in the motor. I just think it's just not detecting a position, because it's just turning and turning and turning, and it times out after a certain length of time. So I've had a quick look on eBay, and you can buy these gears. These are nylon ones. You can buy brass ones now, which I've spoke to a couple of people at the show about these, and they said that's a big failing, these gears. So I think I'll get a pair of them, change both sides. My only concern is whether this needs to be lined up, but as there's no actual switch in here that I can see, so I'm thinking it's an overcurrent sensor, So I think what will happen is we just bolt that. Hopefully we'll just put this new gear in, bolt this all back together, put it on, and it will work. Fingers crossed. So for tonight, failed getting the roof down big time. Nothing online really, except take it to your local Vauxhall dealer and they'll charge you 1,500 quid to do it. Well, you're not going to do that on a cheap car that's 12 years old. So a quick trip to my local Screwfix, which are lucky they're open at 8 o'clock, or up until 8 o'clock, and that is how she's going to get left until we get the new gears, because there is absolutely nothing I can do with that roof. So as you can see, a nice big tarpaulin, bungee strapped underneath, put a blanket over the end here, just to stop the edges of the boot lid cutting through. So I bungee strapped it underneath, bungee strapped the back, and a bit of rope around here to hold the front end down. So hopefully the weather's going to be nice apparently for the next, it's actually a bank holiday weekend this coming weekend, so it's a bank holiday in the UK on Monday, and the weather's supposed to be nice for a change. Starting sort of now, it's been reasonable today, it's just going to get better and better and warmer. The idea originally was to change the engine. That's still sitting here, haven't really done anything to it. I have had a little bit more of an inspection, but we'll have a look at that in the next video, and go into a little bit more detail. Hopefully I'll chop and change these videos about a little bit, and we'll do the roof completion first, and then I'll stick the engine one on afterwards. But the plan is, I've got Friday off as well, so I've got Friday, Saturday I've got family commitments, Sunday maybe get half a day out here, and Monday, so basically full day Friday, full day Monday to get this engine prepared and in there. That was the plan, but as I say, I've got to mess around with this roof now. I suppose it's not going to be a big deal. If the parts of the roof don't come, we can still crack on with the engine. It's going to be dry, so we can take the tarpaulin off. So anyway, let's see how we get on. I'm going to end this one here for today. Might be back tomorrow, or later on with the fix for the roof. Just see how we get on with the parts. Right, welcome back everybody. It is a couple of days since we had the problem with the Astra Twintop roof sticking. If you remember, this is the little flap on what they call the parcel shelf cover. It's operated by this little electric motor, little servo motor, and there's a little gear that goes in here, flat bolts onto this little square here, and that nylon gear, as you can see, it's completely had it. So that was on Wednesday on the way home from work. Today's Friday, supposed to be getting on with the engine swap, prepping a new engine, or the replacement engine, but unfortunately I need to get the roof down first, or the roof up first, because if I start jacking the car up to take drive shafts out, etc., if the car's not sitting level, then the roof won't operate. And also obviously if I start stripping electrics and stuff out, excuse my fat stomach in this video, looks a bit anyway, need to go on a diet, a bit more exercise. So yeah, we need to get the roof down, because obviously if I disconnect the electrics and the roof's stuck up, and it could be several days. But the good news is, when does it happen? Wednesday evening late, I got onto eBay and I ordered some replacement gears. It's Friday today and they've just turned up, which has really pleased me, because I was thinking there's not a lot I can do to this car over the weekend until I get these gears replaced. So I've ordered two. This is what they look like, just like the plastic ones. There's the plastic ones. Oops, sorry, compare the two together, plastic one and the metal one. And what happens is these replace these, so hopefully they won't wear out as badly or as quickly or at all, probably outlive the car. Hopefully this is going to fix it, so we've got to assemble that into here. The only thing I don't know is when I put this back, if this needs setting up, if the sequence is out, the roof sequence, because obviously it's operated by a computer, by an ECU, well not an ECU because that's engine control unit, but a roof control unit, and obviously it needs to see things happen in a certain order. So I'm not sure whether that needs resetting, or whether, like I suspect in here, I don't know if I took this off. Let's just quickly take this off and show you. I don't think I showed you in the last video, but in here there's no actual switches visible. anywhere on this roof mechanism, not for this particular part. So I took this off because obviously there's a switch signal comes down this cable, this harness here. Couldn't find any wiring diagrams on it. The manuals don't seem to cover, not the commercially available ones. Don't seem to cover the twin tops. There's no wiring diagram for it. So I took this off to see if there's any switches in here, and what I found was a lot of electronic circuitry. Now by now you might know that my profession, I am a control systems engineer, so I know quite a lot about circuitry and feedback. As there's no physical switches in here, but there are some components, and my eyesight is bad enough now that I can't actually read those without a magnifying glass. I'm guessing that there's either a position, this is either a position circuitry that measures the position of the shaft on the motor, or alternatively it's an overcurrent device, because when this flap here shuts, it actually presses, can't remember exactly where it is, here somewhere, there, just there, and it hits there and stops. So that's like a mechanical stop, and I'm wondering whether this circuitry detects the extra current, because when you stall a motor, it draws more power, detects that, says, oh, must be shut, switches off, or must be open, switches off. So that's all I can think. I'm hoping that's the case, and this motor hasn't got to be in a specific position. It doesn't appear to, because when you run the motor without the flap on, it just keeps going round and round and round and round and round for a set period of time, and then it times out and stops. So that's what I'm hoping. Let's try and get on with assembling this and getting it back in the car. Right, so that was quite simple. Motor's back together. Yeah, seems to be a perfect fit. Just trying to think what else there is. There's that long bolt there that fixes this to the flap to the motor. I don't think I'm going to put that on just yet. I'm going to mount the motor back up and connect it up, and then we'll put the flap on afterwards. So I might do that off camera, but I will just take it out actually and just show you exactly what where this is going back, and we'll see what the end result is. Right, back inside the car now. I did end up putting the flap on there, because the reason being is once it's bolted up on this bracket, you can't get this nut in, this bolt in. You could get the nut on, but you couldn't get the bolt on, you couldn't get anything on there to hold it. So I have actually bolted the flap on. There's also, as you can see, the flap's sticking out at a weird angle at the minute, but if you look down in there, if you can see that there's a little screwdriver slot there, and if you put that in, that actually is the end of the motor shaft, and you can turn that and wind this in and out to get the flap in the right position. So I've wound it out so I can reach these bolts. I'm going to put it in, connect it up, wind it back in again, and see what happens. So I'm going to do that. Need to put the camera down because I need both hands, but yeah, hopefully I think you've seen where it's going back in. But if we look up here, oh, I don't know if you can see it because the sun's shining. It's a very warm day. It's a bank holiday weekend here in the UK, and for a change it's going to be really, really hot. So if you look up there and there are the two studs, mounting studs, and that big hole there is the one where the Torx bit goes in, so that's where the motor mounts. So we'll crack on and do that and see what happens. I think you can tell by this video that the repair on the roof has been a complete success. It's now back down again. I've had the roof down, I've had it back up again a couple of times. I will try and insert a bit of video footage in a minute, just to show you how this roof activates, because it's quite clever mechanically how everything folds back into the boot. It's really trick, but as you can see, it's down now. It's been up. I don't know whether up or down. Is it? What is it now? It's roof's up, isn't it now? Roof's up. I've had it down and put it back up again. It did take a couple of goes just to get those two flaps back into sequence, but as you can see, all is good. So we can now crack on with doing the engine, which will be really, really good. Get that engine done, get it changed out. So anyway, yeah, roof's fixed, all good. But I will, as I say, we'll try and insert a little bit of video footage into this to show you the roof actually operating, because it is quite clever.